obsessed, incoherent, scaring the fish. All descriptions hurled my way in recent history. A small price to pay for over 300 hours spent trying to beat 2018's Marvel's Spider-Man without taking damage a single time. They just don't see the vision. Over 3 years ago, I set out to do this challenge, and if you've seen that video, you'll know I only managed to win with the help of New Game Plus after over 100 hours of trying. That never sat right with me, and apparently the same goes for my patrons as they chose to send me back into that hellscape to beat it right without the aid of New Game Plus for my 100th challenge. If the passage of time hadn't dulled my memory of the suffering the first time I did this, and how glitchy this game is, I can tell you now that I likely would not have offered it as a choice. But as I did, I must abide by certain rules no matter how bad things go. 1. Anything that causes my health bar to drop even a single point means I must reset the entire game. The only exception is the tutorial force damage moment when God decides to smite Peter a little bit, as I'm sure he's used to. Number 2, glitches still count as a loss unless I have zero control or ability to prevent it, which only has a chance to occur in a single spot in the game, as glitches are responsible for 65 losses. 25% of all my losses. You can tell how damaging that rule will prove to be. All my friends and family heavily suggested I ignored glitches, but if I'm doing this right, then I'm doing it right fully. What an absolute idiot I am. Number 3, the challenge is considered won when I beat mission 44, the final story mission, without ever taking damage or getting a game over screen all game. All this must be done on ultimate difficulty. So much easier said than done, which is why it's been months since my last video. Thanks for waiting. Huge thank you to SylSprite for their fantastic thumbnail art on this video, and now let me show you exactly why this challenge took so long. I figured I would not be taking the win in the first try, but as I didn't want to be at this for hundreds of hours, I set out for a practice run. One where I would ignore the damage done to me and 100% the game to see where my biggest threats would lie. I pinpointed it after 22.5 hours and 194 losses to be, all over the place. There were just so many ways to screw up. Many of which are deserved, many of which not so much. I certainly had my work cut out for me. So I postponed attempting a true run still, and crafted 4 challenges to be done first in order to help me prepare for this damageless run. All 4 had to be done without taking damage on ultimate difficulty, but only checkpoint resets instead of the full game. I gotta have a chance after all. The first challenge, I removed my ability to dodge in order to improve my ability to prioritize gunmen faster, speeding up how quickly I finish fights safely. The second, I became reliant only on gadgets in order to maximize my knowledge of boss fights and gadget combos. The third lies unfinished at this time of writing, with over 800 losses, in which I couldn't upgrade myself, use any gadgets, or any webs. The fourth challenge, counterattacks only, also lies unfinished, but for the opposite reason of being too easy since it needed New Game Plus to work. I decided to leave off on those 2 for after my no damage run, feeling confident that I knew the game quite well by now and would be able to win within a few dozen attempts, hopefully. Did I mention that I'm an absolute idiot by chance? None of those 4 are even included in the 300 plus hours time it took me to do this challenge after all. You'd think after all that practice that when I finally began my first true attempt, I'd probably make it a while, right? Maybe 5, 10, or even 20 missions, wouldn't you guess? I didn't even make it 1. I know. I had never taken in the fact that in the tutorial gun dodge, the gunman aims, starts over, and aims again, meaning that trying to dodge that first aim will freeze me in place for his second aim, where he actually fires while the game waits for me to start web shooting to move me. Fun stuff. Easy to not replicate at least. Second attempt, I make it to the second mission. Pretty simple to do when the first flows right into it. Here I become reacquainted with the main reason I switched to New Game Plus 3 years ago. This balcony shipped in straight from hell. On it stands 4 men exchanging gunfire with the police below them. Both sides are the worst shots ever. Unless I'm in the room, then the thugs develop a bullseye level aim. Circling around them and dodging along not only makes me look ridiculous, but also gives them a chance to show off their sick skills. Because as you can see, bullets don't work like they should in this reality. Things like line of sight and physics are mere suggestions to them. Whenever enemies are fighting someone other than I, like cops or later on sable mercenaries, there's a high likelihood I'll get auto-shot, either by the enemy turning instantly to shoot me, or no turn needed and I'm hit regardless as the bullet curves to greet me. Much later, I'd start to let the closest gunman fire his gun before leaping in, and while that doesn't protect me from getting unlucky, I still feel better about it than immediately charging in or circling around them. Minimum difference, but when playing with luck, anything helps. That's what people with gambling problems tell me anyway. This is the only spot in the game where I have to rely purely on luck though, so I'm glad it's at the 9-minute mark so I can get it over with quick each time. You know it's a soul-crushing challenge when I have to be thankful for things like that. Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, my beautiful bald baddie, is throwing a fit, but it's neither stylish nor dangerous. Get longer arms, Willie! I don't know what else to tell ya. So if the boss isn't much of a boss, why then do 103 of my losses come from Fisk Tower? You might be wondering. That is the largest loss count in any mission after all. Well, like I mentioned, the auto shot balcony is here. Then there's the random fires, many of which don't burn at all, making it especially aggravating when I find the ones that do burn. Simple memorization and willingness to break my combo if enemies get too close to the dangerous fires can fix that problem though. The turrets normally are harmless after 2 dodges, but every now and then they like to fire a 3rd time when I'm distracted web throwing one already, just to keep things interesting. And by interesting I of course mean awful. Plus, I'm at my weakest this early in the game without better skills or gadgets to assist me, and well, it's mission 2. Which means I have to go through it very early on to get to any other mission. So simply put, the numbers favor a lost majority here. My second most failed mission after all is mission 1 with 30 losses, supporting the idea that earlier missions are going to have more failures than later ones, especially since I'm a gadget heavy fighter preferring to beat every enemy through webs, not fist, and my web shooters are horrendous until after mission 6. That? And I absolutely love to get hit by the random bullets that are blindly shot here in Times Square. The game hasn't even introduced the idea of dodging gunfire at this point, so I can't be blamed for stepping into the hail of bullets over and over again, right? It feels bizarre to me that these actually have a chance to hit you and aren't merely for adding atmosphere to the fight. There are less predictable problems though, like with the first gunman I've uppercutted dozens upon dozens of times. He might, this time, randomly end up getting stuck on the truck behind him, so I end up auto-targeting a different enemy and land right into a punch. Or he falls off the truck and still shoots me despite being in the wrong animation for it. Or when I try and grab an object and it breaks the moment I grab it, so I'm caught off guard. Losing these ways after the 2-minute unskippable cutscene, followed by a 1-minute web sling over to Times Square that starts every single playthrough, really tests my patience somehow more than losing 6 hours in. I genuinely think that it was divine intervention on my 10th try when instead of landing in Times Square, I began to dive upwards and outwards far, far over the city. Anything to save me from the horror I was about to embark on. I certainly showed the universe how stupidly tenacious I am though, when instead of resetting from checkpoint or shutting off my PlayStation and calling it a day, I hopped on back to the shore over the course of 16 minutes. I would have gotten back sooner, but it seems Mysterio is having a lot of fun with his illusions today. Only to be met by a leaving mission warning that wouldn't let me re-enter the city. Let's ignore the game's most obvious warning that this challenge is a bad idea and instead reset to checkpoint. If I had any sense at all, I'd have chosen a different profession after all. Here in Mission 3, like 15 other story missions that provide zero danger, is a chance to earn easy experience and check off another mission without having a heart attack every couple of seconds. In the best of ways, it really shows that not every mission is created equal. I mean, Mission 7 is literally just web slinging a short distance and taking a photo of the Empire State Building. That's it! It takes less than a minute, while Mission 2 is 12 minutes of nearly endless danger and hyperventilating. or Mission 4, which normally doesn't provide that much threat unless I panic dodge or misjudge just how high up a brute can reach. Why doesn't he use his abilities for good and go be an assistant to short people with little arms? Well, actually, I guess he is, but those short people are criminals. Damn. Good thing that Brute and his friends are surrounded by the largest assortment of throwable objects in the game. If every area had this many objects to hurl at my hapless foes, I'd be nigh unstoppable. Unless, of course, you put a truck in between me and the guy I'm supposed to ambush to begin the fight, forcing me to attack a different foe and then getting frozen in place. That's actually an excellent way to stop me. Please, don't do that. So many ways the game will try to stop me from moving forward, but it can't stop me forever. It expresses disagreement with that statement by shooting me off a car. On my 42nd attempt while swinging onwards to Mission 8, an armed robbery would pop up right in front of me and then shoot me as the glass explodes, without giving me a chance to defend myself. And I wonder why all my friends think I shouldn't count glitches. But instead of giving in, I just made a new survival rule for myself. Don't do car chases or armed robberies until after I've acquired the bulletproof suit power, which I get after Mission 13. In between missions, I go after Fisk construction sites as I really need those base tokens for the full gadget upgrades I seek and the specific suits I want. Most of Fisk's men are slow and unarmed, and the ones that had the sense to bring guns, well, that's what impact webs are for. Those gunmen rarely get to take much more than a few steps before they're breathing web. Once gunmen are sitting pretty, I rarely have much to worry about. Rarely, but not always. One time in Mission 6, the first Fisk site, when I used my finisher which should make all thrown grenades vanish, this particular grenade didn't get the memo. Other times I lose because I dodge, even multiple times, and yet still get hit by a magic bullet. Bulletproof cannot protect me from wave fights like these construction sites or the one demon Chinatown hideout, because Bulletproof only lasts 30 seconds with a cooldown of 2 minutes. Worry not, I have a different, better solution. Simply find a wall that blocks line of sight from the enemy and hunker down. Anytime a gun-wielding thug comes around, instantly web them up before they fire, and then I never have to risk getting hit by any glitchy bullets. When you lose 2 hours trying to save people from a burning truck simply because you land on the front of the truck, that hurts. Then when you follow that up by losing a couple more hours, panic zipping into damaging gas in a near harmless research station mission of all things, and then throw away 5 more hours in Mission 32 by attacking Mr. Negative before he becomes vulnerable to damage, you really start to think things like, boy, I sure wish I had the superpower to rewind time back 1 minute. And also, if I'm going to keep doing this, I need to be much more efficient and faster about it. This keeps me from veering too off course, mainly doing side activities, only if they're in my direct path towards the next story mission, with the exception of random crimes, because I really need those upgrade tokens. Between that and learning to take full advantage of ledges to push enemies off of them, or walls to double the rate I punch enemies' lights out, the pace at which I flew through the story improved bit by bit. Shaving off a few seconds each fight kept things interesting, and made it easier to deal with the constant resets as I raced against my previous times. In the 1 hour mark, I'd always be in the art gallery of Mission 9, a mission I only failed twice. Once when my vision got blocked by an ill-mannered pole, long enough to throw me off the rhythm of the fight, and the second when I rushed and grabbed an enemy too soon, ruining stealth and costing the hostage her life. That's not physical damage to Spider-Man, so maybe I shouldn't have counted it, but it's definitely psychological damage, and Peter has had more than enough of that. The idea that anyone would lose to Shocker, though, bouncing away in Mission 10 is laughable. So don't laugh at me too hard when I say I actually lost 3 separate occasions here. It's bad enough to dodge into his blast instead of sideways, basically the only way I can manage to get hit. But even worse when my second loss was actually because I got distracted taking photos mid-chase and didn't realize how far away he was until the mission failure screen popped up for losing him. I'm sorry I'm so dedicated to the craft. What's more important after all? Catching a notorious and semi-dangerous thief that's causing havoc in the streets? Or getting 100 experience 5 minutes early for a very low quality photo? A true Spider-Man does both, as I'm much better about knowing the timing in the future, getting 7 photos in under 1 minute as I chase after Shocky. Mission 11 is a Yap mission, as is 12, and 13's only danger is to Peter's lungs as he flings himself into pollution, like any good scientist. And yet, even if I finish 10, many times I don't make it a 12. Why? Because the random crimes between 11 and 12 have a bad habit of taking me out. Whether that's because I failed to hold to ignoring the armed robberies, get shot the moment I smash into a drug deal, or panic dodge a brute, damage is damage. It always does surprise me how barely surprised the enemies are when Spider-Man suddenly shatters the spine of one of their buddies out of nowhere, and my preference for jumping away before dodging can easily backfire as they attack immediately. Nerves of steel, I'll tell ya. Jumping away before dodging, though, is a really good way to handle Shocker in the bank for Mission 14. He's easy normally, and the jumping only makes it harder for him to land a hit. Though that didn't stop him when I got myself pushed into a corner and didn't have the space to get out of his blast. That's very stupid of me, but not as stupid as on my 147th run. I was in the middle of actively telling my partner how it takes a very high level of dumb to ever get hit by Shocker here. At that moment, I was taking my headphones off to talk to them, since I have basic manners, but lack basic hand-eye coordination it seems, and I dropped my controller, unpausing the game and getting myself blasted as I fumbled for the controller. Not one of my smarter moments. Beyond those 2 screw-ups, Shocker can't ever land a hit, but I respect his perseverance. Before I go after Mission 15, I'm not going to pass up the research station near the bank that only takes a few minutes to do, as I need those tokens for the suit mod that gives me 2 gadget refills back for every finisher I do. As you know, I lost here once, but actually twice, as the second time happened when the game shut off my ability to do anything after I jump, forcing me into the damaging gas. Thanks, game. It's just what I always dreamed of since I was a little rat. Since I need to pass the time so Mission 15 can pop up, I always use this chance to do the most boring side mission of eavesdropping on a conversation, to following a cab, to following a man, to following a train, to waiting for the man to slowly go up an elevator so I can then stop 2 cars from racing away. Something I can now safely do with Bulletproof. It may be tedious, but side missions are worth a lot of important experience, and it does keep me on guard for one brief moment where I have to see whether the writers will murder Peter or not for the crime of existing. This is that one glitch moment I talked about that I will not count, as I lack control or ability to prevent Peter from having a heart attack and falling over dead in this transition scene. It happens rarely, thankfully, but I'm sure Peter would rather it happens never. As for Mission 15 though, it's one of the riskier missions and one of the most boring as well. Good for story, bad for repeat playthroughs. It's only a 9-minute mission, but it feels like 15. Which is not a lot, and it doesn't sound so bad, I get that, but it's actually terrible when you've done it dozens of times. With 3 gunmen and 1 shield unit driving in, Bulletproof on cooldown, and I in a tizzy over hitting each gunman with an impact web right away, I often fail to keep track of every enemy and either get energy sliced courtesy of the shieldman or shot. Whether it's an explosion drawing my attention so I don't notice the gunman behind it, the gunman slightly behind the car taking aim, or the shieldman fully behind me and out of sight slicing into me, it truly shows the best way to beat me is for me to not see it coming. That's pretty common for many of my losses throughout the game. Like they say, it's always the bullet you don't see that gets you, right? Or the lesser known phrase, it's the rocket that you do see coming that gets you when you parkour right into it. Not sure why that phrase hasn't caught on as much. I really don't remember the last time that I saw this cutscene play out correctly without a sea of cars to phase through, or this reporter not being consumed by the cars in the aftermath. As far as I know, this is canon, and the denizens of this reality have phase-shifting abilities like Kitty Pryde that the majority don't bother to use much. Missions 16 through 18 are a nice change of pace, as nothing threatens me here, even the little gang that tries to every time, and these missions often mark the 2-hour point of the runs. Mission 19 dives me back into the action, and it can be unpredictably problematic. The first loss here came about when I skipped the cutscene as normal, and instead of the demons just standing there, primed to be hit by a web bomb, one decided he wanted to be the main character today and immediately opened fire. The price of habit and repetition is not seeing a sudden change like that as a possibility until it's too late. But at least once a mistake happens, I lock in to ensure it's unlikely to happen again. Unlikely being the key word, because I do get plenty of repeat mistakes, along with discovering there's always a new thing to go wrong. Like the shooter spraying fire at Fisk thugs here, I normally easily take him out. But one time I zip from the wrong angle, get stuck, and then auto shot for my trouble. Another time I don't want to risk getting stuck on anything, so I web impact him, only to be auto shot at the exact moment the web hit him. At times like this, I really do consider joining a nunnery. Web impacting him immediately after he stops firing, I can remove that hiccup though and be on my way. It's shameful to say that Mission 20, a stealth mission that takes less than 4 minutes, ever caused me trouble. But Loss 86 was when I got caught, simply because I got too eager and took pacing as a sign he was walking away. He was not. Tisk, tisk me. To those who think this shouldn't count as I lack any health bars, MJ, or Miles, well, I don't think the cutting to black bodes well for Miles' health. This is still better than that time I was about to do Mission 20 and accidentally zipped right into a grenade I scared a demon into dropping. I hate ever touching the ground, just as a general rule of safety, but all that zipping around can really backfire. Not even the only time I did that, losing 2 other times in Act 2 from a dropped grenade I stepped right into. Demon grenades even have a small blast radius and everything. I'm as surprised as you are that I haven't won yet with behavior like that. I do become much more excited to play every time once Mission 20 is over and I'm in Act 2, as it feels like real progress, which sucks all the more when it's ripped out from under me. The first time I made it to Act 2, I mistimed the whip dodge in Mission 21, losing 5 hours of work as I had yet to be efficient. Now, I only lose 2.5 hours when a random bomb truck spawns going down the street the opposite way and still shoots me as I'm heading over a building and dodging. That was diabolically cruel. Or how about the worst way to lose to an explosion? Not by grenade or by rocket, those would be too obvious. No. How about by a police car exploding a short distance away as I win the encounter, hitting me for a single point of damage and costing me 3 hours of work? How about the time when I chose to use a finisher on the last demon standing in a Sable demon firefight, only to get grazed by Sable for my trouble? That one though is on me, because I knew better than to put myself in the crossfire whenever Sable's involved, as only Bulletproof can protect me from them. And if I run out of that, I start shooting webs from across the street or outright fleeing. If I don't flee, and reinforcements come in while Bulletproof is on cooldown, guess who's getting auto-shot by the new demons? If you said Shenanaloon, collect your prize of being right. If you said any other answer, I worry about you. Mission 21 involves 2 whip enemies, my most dreaded enemies in the game, as they love to deflect attacks, and if I go aerial, which I prefer to be, they'll instantly whip me down. The solo whip enemy isn't a problem if I perfect dodge or chuck an object at him, but the second one has the potential to be a problem with so many friends around, and successfully is a single time when I jump too soon. But the drawback for him of having friends is I can use web bomb or electric web aimed at those friends, and since they can't deflect gadgets like Whippy can, Whippy gets hit by proximity. That means Mission 21 rarely gives me issue, and Missions 22, 23, 24, and 26 all prove a cakewalk, as 2 of them are just chatting, 24 is an easy stealth mission, and 26 is bomb defusal with Taskmaster. Not at all a worry. No, I did not forget how to count. This time, 25 is an exception, as it got me a singular time when I jumped away, but was shot anyway. Between that and Mission 27 is why I take advantage of Bulletproof's odd recharge ability. Normally I'd have to wait 2 minutes for the recharge, but I realized while crawling along in ESU that if my suit power is shut off by the game and not me, usually from entering or exiting a building, the closer the power is to being over, the more it will refill automatically. In the open world, I rely on quick travel to reset my suit power immediately, and I can't do anything in story, but by taking advantage of this quirk, I can get Bulletproof back pretty quickly in the parking garage and in ESU, allowing me easy victory over all the demons in both locations. My only loss at ESU, Mission 27, is when I failed to account for the lone unarmed demon's attack from my peripheral. Instead of moping, I chose to take advantage of this by not quitting immediately, instead setting out to fight Taskmaster. 2 times before, I had fought Taskmaster. Once on accident where he auto-countered me, and another on purpose but very poorly done, where a second auto-counter cost me 5.5 hours of work, the furthest I had gotten at that time. You might think Tasky is optional, but not for me, not for what I need. His challenge tokens would provide me with what I needed for all my gadget upgrades, but I also need 2 suits that require challenge tokens. The Fear Itself suit and the Mark IV suit. Why? Certainly not for style in the case of the Fear Itself suit, but it gives the suit upgrade that quadruples my damage output. Fantastic for defeating bosses fast. It isn't necessary, but it does help a lot. And the Mark IV armor is necessary, as it gives Defense Shield, a power that makes me immune to all damage for 15 seconds. That isn't as useful as it sounds with its 2-minute cooldown and half the time of bulletproof, but it's still useful for sure. In fact, it is vital for much later on, so I can't afford to go on without it, but Taskmaster, an above average danger level boss, will ambush me once I've done 5 of his challenges. He has 2 potential appearances, but I only need to beat him the first time, even if I'm terrified of his auto counter move. There's an easy solution though, as I prove with this practice attempt. Buy Fear Itself, apply quad damage after perfect dodging his first attack, hit him 3 times, dodge away, perfect dodge his throw attack, and then hit 2 more times. With quad damage in play, that is all the hits needed to beat him. Long as I remember to bring the suit mod full charge capacitors for extra damage. I realized that in one run when I had to fight him fairly, as he survived my 5 quad damage hits as I forgot to apply the capacitors. Oh, and I do always make sure to be waiting in this specific alley for him right next to where the last bomb challenge I do ends. The next alley over is already taken by Joe Chill and the Wayne family. After those 2 initial losses though, and with this prep done, Taskmaster's chances go up in smoke. He retaliates by making that last bomb defusal challenge sometimes much harder when my vision becomes one with the building, making it impossible to grab for the bomb until it goes away. Taskmaster observed me so well that he realized he was in a video game and he really took some crazy measures to stop me. Fair enough, I guess. Hour 3 usually happens at the 23rd mission mark, as I often take out a few bases and find the rest of the crime towers when Act 2 begins, along with a lot of random crime stopping. And by the time mission 28 and 29 roll around, I'm nearly at the 4-hour mark, but never really in danger. Except for a single time late at night when I was sprinting along the Oscorp building without any sense of caution, getting caught by a sniper, and instantly deleted. It's the one and only time I've been caught in this mission, as it's so easy to not get caught. So I guess the valuable lesson is, don't risk hours of progress when you're exhausted. Also, don't be an idiot, but that one is very difficult for me to follow. 29 is a simple stealth mission, and it's after that that I usually set off to complete all the side missions found around the city, along with finding the rest of Howard's birds and Black Cat's cats. From hour 4 to 5, this is normally the safest hour to play, as Bulletproof protects me from most issues, and most of my gadgets are fully upgraded, if not all of them. Well, except the Gravity Disruptor, but I really don't need to upgrade that one. The majority of the side missions fly by with 0 threat at least, and I only avoid the Spiderman side mission for fear of all the rifles and rockets, plus the Tombstone boss fight, just in case, as it isn't really needed. Missions 30 and 31 have 0 threat, but missions 32 and 33 are the biggest problem missions of the game, which is why I had spent the last hour upgrading as much as I possibly could before going after them shortly after the 5-hour mark. Mission 32 can be quite risky. I always worry about a stray Sable rocket or shot hitting me as I use web impacts and concussion blasts mainly to clear the top of the demon's truck. Only once do I get shot here, as I tried to get back on when I fell off. But once I gravity disrupt and trip mine the whip and rocket enemies at the end of the ride, the real threat begins in Lee's Shadow World. While Lee isn't hard to take down, as long as I wait for him to clearly be taking a breather, I do have 2 different runs ruined by a speedy punch from a shadow. They hit like fist thugs, but way faster, and I really didn't account for that, especially since I normally have my spider drone clear the majority of them out for me. 2 other tries are ruined here as well when the shadow fire that's thrown at the end of the fight barely tags me. I had forgotten that was even a possibility. If I keep the drones out to deal with the shadows for me and I always stay in the air though, my chance of getting hit drops to nil, even if it's too late for poor past me. He fell, so I could rise better. Mission 33 is somehow even more dangerous, largely because I'm a massive idiot, and largely because the game is cruel, knowing 5.5 hours of work is at risk. My very first time getting this far, attempt 104, I overthought the bomb defusal despite having it memorized and I accidentally misclicked, costing me the entire run. The next loss has come at the hands of Lee as he either ignores my attacks despite me waiting for after his attack, something that should have allowed me a counterattack, or he hits me despite my dodge. There's also when I double dodge him when I should only single dodge, earning a blast for my mistake. But electric webs to stun him, full focus going in for maximum damage, and using a loss to practice on him gives me what I need to consistently learn to beat him. But what was that loss that gave me that practice chance, you might wonder? That would be when I decided to test if I was faster than a rocket. Nope, not quite. Spiders slower than rockets. Good to know. I gotta write that one down. I've lost so many times playing this challenge that I actually had many nights where I'd literally dream about losing in the game. I'd wake up, get to work on beating Spidey, lose multiple times, keep trying all day, try to leave the night off with at least some progress, go to sleep and dream more about losing Spider-Man, and then wake up and lose immediately, ripping away all the progress I had stayed up late to do. A huge thing that kept me going was thinking of future Shenanaloon. I never wanted to leave him, me, at 0%, and every step I took closer to winning counted, even to the point that I'd begin to fall asleep in my chair, playing with the hope that it would make it easier for future me, even though future me is just as foolish or unlucky and likely to muck it all up, repeating the cycle for his future self. I even began a competition with my friend as I raced to win this challenge before she could do her whole college thesis, and she definitely won. My own mom kept joking about how she thought about having an intervention for me so many times that it started to not seem like a joke. When I tried to escape Spider-Man for a few hours with friends at the theaters to see Project Hail Mary, I looked on in horror as I failed to escape him even there when trailers for the new movie popped up. Everywhere I go, Spider-Man is haunting me. I felt like I was becoming a Spider-Man villain whose only twisted goal was about protecting Spider-Man. I just can't stop until the job is done, knowing it would only take me one good run of most likely around 7 hours. I always gotta get back up, right? Spider-Man always gets back up, and I couldn't let these losses stop me. I may be an idiot, but that means I never learned how to quit either. Mission 34 and 35 are more chatting, and then the real make it or break it begins in Mission 36. This is the end of Act 2, and I am not about to blow it this close to the end. Beating Lee means I'm finally level 35, which means defense shield is finally mine, and while bulletproof and web bombs protect me from all the prisoners, defense shield is excellent for chasing Electro. As he sends boulders hurling my way, defense shield completely ignores them, allowing me to easily catch up. Only for Peter to get the web kicked out of him. But hey, no health drops, so I guess the Sinister Six isn't so sinister. Here in Act 3, snipers, gunmen, and rocket users patrol nearly every rooftop, and I won't survive long if I tried to aid the city while it's in this state. I think I'll stick to being the elusive neighborhood Spider-Man for now. I'd better take advantage of all the research stations I opened, but never completed. Fast traveling to them, I'd complete a couple between each mission hiatus, allowing me to safely progress without any danger whatsoever. Anytime I did have to go across the gun-filled rooftops though, like in Mission 37, I had bulletproof to shield me, and when that's on cooldown, my perfect dodge time slow allowed me to create huge distance between me and my attackers. But my joy of getting this far is cut short, as I reach the police precinct blocked by Electro and get another rocket to the face for all my hard work. Goodbye, 6 hours. You were so beautiful while you lasted. I honestly was really crushed by that loss, thinking before that all I needed to do was make it to Act 3 and I'd be home free. At least it would only take a few more tries before I made it all the way back here though. This time I won't stay on the building, only taking the time to web up the demons there before leaping into the air so the rocket can't hit me. Removing the helicopter threat that had the rocket launcher, I rush for the next rooftop and web up the demons there too. I let my bulletproof recharge before attacking the third rooftop, easily besting the demons there, and after another 2-minute wait to get my recharge back yet again, I beat the demons on the ground. But I didn't destroy the last of Electro's conduits until after I had both recharged my bulletproof and used air tricks to charge my focus bar. I'm gonna need all this. That way, when the demon reinforcements race in, I'd have protection against them while I quickly dispatch them. Dodging gunfire as I make my way to the next precinct, I'm back to waiting between batches of riding escapees for bulletproof to recharge. 2 minutes each time is a small price to pay for holding on to 6 hours of progress. The biggest threats are actually the unarmed prisoners, as they can throw a lit Molotov at any point, requiring that I'm always in the air to avoid such a surprise. At no point do they light that thing, so I assume they're just keeping an on-fire bottle in their butts at all times? And, well, that is not the kind of people I'd like to mess with for very long. This mission is definitely the most dangerous, and I can't take any risks. Blasting the subsequent rooftop rioters off their roofs, I wait once again for bulletproof before engaging Sable's air troopers. I don't want to risk getting counterattacked by these men, and so I stick to gadgets to disable them as quickly as I can, favoring trip mine most of all. Anytime my bulletproof drops, I wait again before re-engaging until the rooftops are finally all clear. All that fighting, and yet Sable, police, and prisoners cannot hit each other no matter how hard they try. Pacifism through sheer incompetence is almost impressive in its own right. That finishes Mission 37 and frees me from any further prisoner fights, a huge relief to be sure. Fast traveling to Mission 38, it is not a problem to beat Electro and Vulture, as both prove quite predictable, offering me all the time in the world to avoid their attacks. There might be 2 of them, but 2 times 0 is still 0 after all. Mission 39 is an interesting problem, as I must avoid touching the Sea of Poison and the Scorpion Tails as I rush across New York. Only slightly more bizarre than a standard visit to New York. It panics me each time I come here, as I can almost feel my feet grazing the sea of instant death. But I know, much like Peter right now, that danger is mostly in my head. Just keep swinging and I should make it to the other side intact. Mission 40 is just more sneaking, as is Mission 43, but Mission 42 is a showdown with Rhino and Scorpion together. Quad damage would make light work of this, but also backfire horribly. Even if I'm stuck in an animation finishing off Scorps and I can't dodge, it doesn't mean I can't take damage when Rhino charges into us. That is a very rude awakening, and there goes 7 hours of work and the closest I got to victory. I can't give up, right? Mustn't give up. I wanted to be done, but I chose to adopt the same mindset that I take when I run, and just kept taking another step, and another step, no matter how much I wanted to stop. I may not feel I can make it to the destination, but I know I can take just another step. That was loss 192, and it would take to run 221 before I made it that far again, or even past Lee. This second try, I knew now that I wouldn't be immune to damage, and so ensured Scorps was plenty far from Rhino before unleashing quad damage on him. That very simple change gives me the win over these 2 animal enthusiasts, allowing me to stealth through 42 and make it to 43, the penultimate mission. Only to immediately take a rocket to the face before I can see it coming. Oh wow. Ow. I can't even be surprised by that. Getting back in there, I get as far as Mission 33 before a glitchy rocket ignores my dodge and hits me anyway. So, that was not very nice. And then comes a terrible streak of 11 losses, where I struggle to even get past the first hour of the game. Maybe it really was time to stop, as my skills have diminished dramatically after that hard loss. I guess the least I can do is take a day break and catalog all my losses, allowing me to go over them and see where and why I lost the most. Maybe it'd be enough to help. It won't hurt, at least. Trying again and again, finally I reach Act 3 again. Only to panic dodge the final Scorpion Tails and lose all my momentum, plopping me into the poison for instant death. I'd honestly rather take a little poison than deal with that. Wanting to be more prepped, at least for the end missions, I press on in this failed run, beating every threat thrown my way before I once again reset the whole game. That failure was number 245, but the count wouldn't be halting there despite my best wishes. Auto shot or regular shot, damage is damage, as I always say, and I still kept losing. Finally, after 251 losses and 300 plus hours, I decided to stick to the rule. If I lose again, I have to stop, and I have to work on my video instead, accepting that I would come back some other time and win. Hopefully. So many losses. So many lessons to be learned on what not to do. Let's see if I can apply them all this time. I'm careful to pull enemies away from the line of fire bordering the fight in Times Square, and then in Fisk Tower, any gunman doesn't get much more than a moment standing up before they're flattened by the debris chucked at them, while my luck holds charging into the balcony gunman. In random crimes, I always make sure to take control of the fights before they even begin by impact webbing gunmen or web bombing them before smashing in. Instead of rushing to remove the demons in Mission 15, I stay back and take out the demons bit by bit, ensuring I can keep them all in my line of sight so I don't get any nasty surprises. Using the high ground and an endless assortment of pumpkins, I can clear ESU of the corrupted safely. Then I anxiously chase after Lee's mad rampage throughout the city, letting my gadgets do the work for me and making sure to stay far away from both his shadows and shadow fire in his negative world. Then, minimizing the amount of time his rocket troopers have me in their line of sight, I avoid getting blown apart and I confront Lee with the aid of electric webs in full focus for maximum damage. Bulletproof and all the webs in the world contain the prison break and also let me survive the police precincts, even if much of it is me waiting around for Bulletproof to cool down. Vulture and Electro are a laugh, and the value of not panicking allows me to survive Scorpion's hallucinations this time. Rhino makes it difficult to finish off Scorps, but I have the sense to hold back and wait for the right opportunity. Sable patrolling Osborn's apartment is quite annoying, moving more unpredictably than what I'm used to, but once again, I wait for the right chance to strike and then I move on. Finally, I've once again reached Mission 43, and after removing the demons from stealth, MVP Bulletproof allows me to defeat Sable's airborne units with instant webs for the rocket troopers, while I panic about not touching any pesky fires. Defense Shield finally shows its vitalness when I must wait for it to cool down so I can dive through this hole safely, as this hole would normally cause a smidge of negative energy damage without the shield. Lee and his shadows don't stand a chance against my array of gadgets and throwables, as I have so much more beautiful room to maneuver than in that terrible subway car from before. That leaves Doc Ock. I learned in my last practice that if I attack him right where he starts, I might get stuck on the giant pole behind him and lose everything, which would be the worst loss ever. But my gadget-only run taught me a valuable way to handle this by sending debris flying back to Otto at a safe distance. It's not always easy to do, and I really struggle to get my webs to attach to anything here so I can stay in the air. I'm doing anything to stay up and far away from Otto, but I'm definitely not winning any points for style or grace. Thankfully, he's not a very good shot, and it only takes 2 debris throws to stun him so I can show him my thoughts on his citywide rampage. Do that a few more times, and we'll both go off the building together to finish the fight on the side of it in one final showdown, which is almost purely cinematic and not dangerous. The moment that final punch connected, I let out a cackle of victory as I can finally say, huzzah! Well then, I actually did it. Who'd have thought? That has to be the toughest challenge I've ever done. Certainly the longest at 325 hours with 251 losses and a final run of 7 hours and 15 minutes. I don't blame Past Me for choosing New Game Plus, but it's really nice to see my perseverance has grown just a smidge. If you'd like to watch the full final playthrough, I'll have it on my Patreon for free. I appreciate all the patience given to my very late video. I thank you all very much for watching. A second huzzah to making it 100 challenges. I'll see you all soon, friends, with more adventures and challenges on the horizon. Have a spectacular day.